you're here, I'm Queer, and welcome back to my channel. For this video, we will be going under the sea with an Ariel doll. This doll will be Halle Bailey inspired, of course, for she is our new Ariel. I'm really curious on how they would execute the underwater scenes for this movie. It might be done the same way they did DC's Aquaman. I really enjoy the CGI effects of that movie, and I can see them using similar techniques. We haven't received much news on the Little Mermaid movie, for sure, of course, maybe because of COVID, but I can't wait to see the official photos and costumes. Growing up, I only had a few Disney Princess VHS tapes, not a lot, and this movie is the one I would rewatch constantly, like over and over again. I'd say she's definitely my favorite Disney princess of all time. This is the look that I imagined for her, and I definitely kept her original stylings. Her iconic red hair, purple seashell bra, and green tail combination really sets her apart from the rest of the princess lineup. This is my fourth mermaid doll, I think, and I always love when the tail fades into the skin when I make them, so I will try and do that again for Ariel. I added some accessories to her design like flowers, pearls, earrings to add more interest. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. For Ariel, I will be making a hybrid, and for her face, we will be using this Barbie Fashionista. This one, I believe, is the 123 with micro braided hair. And I think she is also a tall body type, but we will not be using her body. Her face is so beautiful, she does have the really smiling face, and it's kind of interesting because her eyes isn't really smiling, but she's smiling, so we will be changing that. We will give her a smize. But yeah, we will be taking this face, and then for her body, I will be using this Jasmine doll from the Disney store, and this one is thrifted. As you can see, this actually doesn't even match the Jasmine head. The Jasmine head seems to be a little lighter than this one, but for the Barbie, it's actually kind of a perfect match. So let's go and take that head off. Her hair definitely needs some TLC, so I will work on that behind the scenes, and let's try and combine the heads. And you will see this one is actually a better color match. Look at that. It's actually kind of perfect. So the Jasmine Disney doll and this specific Barbie Fashionista is almost a perfect match. Let's prep her up, and I will be removing her hair. We are going to be rerooting this time. I know, surprises. But yeah, it will be very fun. I'm really excited. So let's take it off. People were asking how I remove the insides, and this is a needle nose pliers. That's what I'm using. Let's also remove her factory paint with acetone or nail polish remover as long as it has acetone in it. And voila, we have a clean canvas to work with. Now let's go ahead and work on her hair. As you can see, we are giving her red, we are giving her scarlet, we are giving her fiery red hair, and I am obsessed with how red this is. It's not like bright red, it's actually pretty deep. So let's go ahead and start rerooting. As you can see, I will start off with rerooting the perimeter of her hair. Using yarn to reroot takes a lot of space in the head, as you can see, so technically you don't want to reroot every single hole. Even in the perimeter, I did, I believe, every 2 or every 3 holes because it is so thick, and every time we reroot, it's 2 strands at a time. So take that into consideration. In the end, I will be trimming a lot. You'll see how much hair this will have, and so yeah. I always forget to paint the scalp, so here I am painting it last minute. You don't really have to, but I do recommend it so that you don't see the color of the scalp. It blends it a little bit more easily. After rerooting, let's go ahead and take our fabric tack so we can secure all of the hair plugs inside her head. And make sure you squeeze hard to secure everything. After a day, the fabric tack should be completely dried, and this is what we have. As you can see, it's a lot of hair, and I will be unraveling every single yarn so we can emulate Halle Bailey's natural locks. So every yarn thread actually has 4 strands of yarn in it, so that's pretty cool, and it's gonna be a lot of hair, you guys. And as you can see, it actually kind of looks like mini locks. So yeah, let's go ahead and unravel everything, and surprisingly, it was actually kind of therapeutic to do. Just put on a good show, maybe put on the Little Mermaid, part of your world, all of that. I'm hoping they include the one dance song that was deleted from the animated movie. You guys need to listen to it. It is so beautiful. And now we have her hair completed. As you can see, the amount quadrupled for sure. And so I definitely would have to trim this a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot actually. She's actually giving me Starfire vibes, you know what I mean? Just paint her skin orange, make the hair orange. Hello, we have an alien princess. And yes, this is tinsel. I know this can be a little annoying sometimes when it comes to doll collecting or like brushing dolls' hair, but for this one I really do just want Ariel's hair to have some glimmer without using literal glitter or like painting glitter over her hair. So I thought maybe braiding tinsel into her hair would make so much sense, and I chose red because it's a little bit more simple and it just glimmers sometimes. I don't know, just the vision of her hair glittering in the water, I just like that. I like that vision for her. I like the fantasy for her. So yes, I will be braiding this into her hair. And yes, I tried several methods to braid this in. I tried curling it like this with scissors. As you can see, it curls up like a ribbon, and then I just twist that around her hair. I tried braiding it, but I think the twisting around, like here over here, is much easier than the one braiding it. Because the braiding part, it's easy, but it's hard because it kept falling. So I did prefer tying it in the root and then curling it with scissors and then twisting it around her hair. And boom, look at that. It's so nice. I feel like it's so subtle that there's like glimmering glitter in there. Like, I didn't put it everywhere, as you can see. There's some spaces left, but it's just kind of magical looking. I don't know, it works really well for me, I think. I'm really in love with the effect. So yeah, let's move on from her hair and let's actually work on her body. Before I removed her legs, I actually kind of wanted to like experiment with this because I was like, I'm gonna remove it anyway, why not like look at the mechanisms? So her legs, obviously this is the rubber legs. It's barely a bend and snap. I feel like this doll is pretty old. You can only snap it once. And rubber legs, as you can see, so she's all wobbly and stuff. And I do gotta hand it to Disney Store or whoever's making this style of dolls, maybe Mattel in the 90s, but these are so hard to remove, the rubber legs, because yeah, this was like the white part over here, it goes all the way down by her ankle. So that whole bend and snap thing is that plastic white thing inside the body. I was like, oh my god. I mean, hey, I guess they're durable, you know that? They're durable. And now her legs are gone, she is ready for a mermaid tail. And like usual, I will be making an armature first, and this will be a static tail. I do want this to be beautiful aesthetically and presentable aesthetically. So yes, I will be sculpting a tail. For the armature, let's go ahead and start with our wire first and kind of get a shape out of that. As you can see, I preserve this kind of T part over here by her thighs because I want the wire to hang over somewhere, so I definitely tried not to destroy that. And to build a shape, I will be using aluminium foil, and I feel like this is really nice because it's lightweight. You can really go dense with it without making it really heavy, so I do prefer this. And I'm just gonna wrap it with tape to secure all of the foil together. Now let's go ahead and pose it. I want her to be sitting down because I feel like that's like a classic mermaid pose and I can kind of make her sit down anywhere. So I thought of this pose specifically and I'm like, yes, this is the pose. Now let's go ahead and take our air dry industrial clay, which is epoxy sculpt, and mix 2 parts together, even parts, and we can now blend in her tail with her skin. And don't be afraid to over blend with this type of clay because when it starts curing, it's gonna be very difficult to make subtle changes and smooth like curves. Even if you wet your finger and sculpt wet with it, it's still gonna be curing. Obviously, you can sand any mistakes in the end. I just don't like sanding, so I try to prevent doing bigger changes with sandpaper. So I'm like, alright, we gotta overblend, we gotta over smooth things out. Also, I do recommend metal tools or even silicone sculpting tools. Try not to use plastic because this definitely cures and it makes it harder to clean off plastic tools. But for metal, for silicone, it's much easier. So yeah, just a recommendation. And here is the finished and sanded tail. As you can see, I oversanded even going up to her skin on her stomach. As you can see the sand marks over there, but it's not perfectly sanded. There's some dents here and there, but it'll be fine. It'll be covered in scales anyway. I'm just like, let me just try. Over here, I'm just drilling some holes for her tail and her fins, you know, just for later, because I want them to go in there with wire. And because I went a little bit overboard with sanding her body, as you can see the scratch marks, I will be repainting her body and trying to color match it to everything. And this took me 2 attempts. The first one was a little too red, and I think the second one was just right. It was a little bit more caramel. And so yeah, it matched her arms. So I was like, alright, I think this is perfect. And even if we're covering her entire tail with scales, I still want to paint the base of it green just in case there's some spots that's gonna be, you know, popping out. I don't want it to look like clay. I want it to be green. And I'm trying to just do some dabbing motions to fade in her tail to her body. Again, I want to have a fading effect, so yeah. Now that we're done with skin matching and painting the tail, the base of it, I'm gonna go ahead and spray the body with Mr. Super Clear and wait for that to dry. So for now, let's go ahead and work on her face. Like her body, actually, like her torso, I covered her tail. I sprayed this face with Mr. Super Clear as a primer so we can actually draw on it with our watercolor pencils and pastels. As usual, you want to sketch out the face, the idea a little bit more with a pencil, with a color that is close to the skin tone, so that it's easier to erase when mistakes are made. And specifically for this one, I was trying my best to recreate Halle Bailey's visage. And again, realism, face realism is not my bailiwick, so, you know, I tried my best to recreate her beauty. So yeah, it's Ariel. It's Ariel. I hope they don't change too much on her other looks because I actually really like all of them, especially her pink dress. I know, very unpopular opinion. A lot of people seem to hate it, and they even changed her official merchandise. She's wearing a green dress now all of a sudden, but I really do love that dress. Of course, we can't forget about her beauty mark, and yes, I'm putting it so early on because I've been tending to forget beauty marks for some reason. Even on my last doll, the one that's supposed to be a mini me, I forgot to put the beauty mark on myself. So I'm like, okay, let's do that in the sketching phase. You know what I mean? Early on, so we don't forget. As always, you want to try and build your layers slowly, the colors slowly, because one wrong mistake can kind of like turn everything upside down, you know what I mean? At least for me, that's how I do my stuff. And for her eye makeup, I wanted to be colorful this time. Well, not really, but yes, I don't know. It's a subtle color. Definitely her tail and also her purple shell combination, green and purple, yes. And yeah, I'm also trying not to make it smoky because, you know, purple and green can very much look like any Disney villain. So yeah. As you can see, her eyeliner is pretty simple, not a lot of cat eye, but that can change in a matter of seconds. But yeah, let's keep detailing everything. I want to add some highlight under her eye. I feel like that adds a lot of realism to, you know, this doll. It creates a shadow underneath. I realized for realism, like face-ups, really, you want your lines to be subtle. You don't want them to be too graphic, you know, too edgy at sometimes, and you want some details to be really subtle, and it makes huge impact, I think. So yeah. I want to match her eyebrows to her red hair, of course, so I will be putting a layer of red over here, and then I will ombre that later with black. And honestly, you can't go wrong with red lipstick, so of course, she's gonna get red lipstick, yes. As you can see, I really like highlighting the brow bone. I feel like it really defines the face sculpt, and it makes the eyebrow a lot more sharper, which is what I like. Do you guys think Jodie Benson will have a cameo in the movie? I do think that would be really, really cool if she did. Over here, I'm taking kind of like a burnt umber watercolor pencil, and I am drawing lines underneath the highlighter. Just really, really subtle. As you can see, I'm using eraser to it too. I just wanted some pigment under there, so it acts like a natural shadow. And now we are ombreing her eyebrows. I feel like this makes it look a little bit more natural, and it matches her hair a little bit more. I'm taking white paint to make all of the whites whiter. I want her smile to be brighter, her eyes to be brighter. Although I will be adding some shadow to her eyes in the end. I think I just like knowing that it was completely opaque, and then it was me who added the shadow, you know what I mean? So yeah. Now I'm just drawing some lower lashes, and I wanted to keep this very, very subtle. You know, you guys know most of my dolls are like drag queens, you know, drag makeup, but I definitely tried to simplify this. And here I am giving some shadow to the whites of her eyes. I feel like for realistic, or, you know, semi-realistic, attempted realistic face-up, adding shadows to the whites of the eyes, to the teeth, often brings out the realism. So long story short, I could have probably skipped the white paint. I do really like the catch lights to be really, really opaque white though. Really, really bright and really, really sharp. and small, apparently. And of course, this is now a staple to any custom. We are using resin metallic powders for her highlighter, and this one I am using pink and also gold, and I'm just using that all over her face, for the most part, the gold. And yes, this needs to be layered also with Mr. Super Clear. And last minute, I decided to actually semi-contour her face, like her jaw and also her cheekbones, because I was like, why not? Just a little subtle shadow here and there. That would really help build and sell the illusion of what we're trying to create, which again, I'm trying to make Halle Bailey. You know what I mean? You know, I am hoping you can see it. Maybe the contouring will help. Maybe we should add the dimples. She definitely has dimples, and yes, I added 2 more beauty marks by her nose and also by her dimples. I saw that. You know, I really hope it's selling the illusion. And now for the 3D lashes, and honestly I was debating this because I was like, she looks really good without them, so maybe she doesn't need them. But then I added the lower eyelashes, so I'm like, alright, let's just go for it. So long story short, I think I should have just drawn on her top lashes, but I think even trimming it, it's fine. But still, I think I definitely could have skipped it. What do you guys think? To finish it off, I'm gonna go ahead and gloss up her lips. And now we are done with Ariel. Again, just a refresher, it's supposed to look like Halle Bailey's Ariel. I really like the overall look. I love her makeup, the highlighter, oh my gosh. And I think the subtle contours of her jaw, her cheekbones, and the dimples really sells the illusion. You know what I mean? And here is a before and after of the Barbie Fashionista 123 to our new face-up. And now let's go back to her body. Like I said earlier, I sprayed her body, her torso with Mr. Super Clear, so now I can body blush her with our pastels. And I wanted her torso, well, her body to match her face. That's why I'm body blushing her shoulders, her back, her elbows, her wrist, and all of that. And I'm also contouring her body. And of course, her body also needs to have some glitter, some shine, some highlighter. So same exact thing, I am highlighting her body layer by layer with the pink and also the gold. And it's just so satisfying and beautiful to look at. Like, it's just shimmering. I love it. And for her bra, I'm using these 2 seashells, and they're actually mirrored of each other, so that's really cool. I did adjust them and I resized them because they were too wide. So yeah, they're perfect for her though. Now I really want her chest to also have kind of like a scale effect, so I'm using glue and this crystal glitter as a combo, and I'm trying to stylize it and fade it into her shoulder. And in the end, it's really gonna look so magical and kind of scale-like. Speaking of scales, I am so happy to collaborate with SGMOT on Instagram for these beautiful scales. As you can see, Jeremy actually cuts these scales individually, so if you guys want some, go ahead and check out their Instagram. Their mermaids are so beautiful, so well sculpted, and whimsical, fantastical, and I wanted to try out their technique of hand placing individual scales. So yes, I'm pretty scared because it looks really intimidating. But again, thank you so much, Jeremy, for these scales. Again, if you guys want to buy your own scales, mind you, there's so many other beautiful colors, of course, not just green. Make sure to message SGMOT on Instagram, and I will put their links down below. And just to make things extra difficult, I have this lime colored glitter that I got from Michaels, and there's so many different sizes, but I will layer this on top of the scales. I'll show you later. So now let's go ahead and start gluing from the bottom. You definitely want to start from the bottom for scales because it's kind of like an overlapping technique. And over there, as you can see, I glued the glitter on top of the scale. So yeah. Double the work, kind of fun. It's definitely a different vibe. I like the glitter because it's smooth, and then I like the shape of the actual scale from Jeremy. So yes, it's a journey for sure. Jeremy was suggesting that I use hot glue, and you guys know that is my bias, hot glue, but I tried it, it was drying too quickly. And for this one, because I was overlapping the glitter on top of the scale, I needed some time to place it, to adjust it, and stuff like that. So the glue, the Elmer's glue all was working perfectly for me. It wasn't too runny, it was staying perfectly fine as you can see over here. And yeah, it was actually pretty satisfying to make this and glue this all. Jeremy has sent me 1,300 pieces of scales, and yes, that sounds really intimidating. However, when I got the package, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if this is gonna fit. But it did fit, there's actually extra left. They said they use roughly 1,000 to 1,200 scales, so I was pretty satisfied that I had a little bit extra because I was like, I'm definitely gonna make some mistakes. So yeah, but hey, I still have some left, so that's really good. And to transition her tail towards her torso, the skin, I'm using the same glitter that I was gluing on top of the scales, and it actually comes in different sizes, so I was really just transitioning the different sizes from biggest to smallest, as you can see. I even used the crystal transparent one. And yes, I saved the back, the bottom for the end because this is the time when I was worried that the scales weren't gonna fit, but they did. So I was like, all right, perfect. And I just glued it on, and then now I'm going to go ahead and glue the glitter on top of that. As you can see, the glitter itself actually has a shift of green and purple, and that's why I was like, oh my god, this is perfect for Ariel. And now we're finally done with the tail, well, the scale part, and the scale placement roughly took me 2.5 days. That is including the dry time of the glue, and as you can see, it blends into her skin so well, in my opinion. I really love the effect, and oh my god, it's actually not that bad. I think it was more therapeutic more than it was stressful. Again, you gotta have to watch something, a distraction while you're gluing this, but it was really fun. Now let's go ahead and paint her seashells purple, of course, and I used 3 different colors, the purple, indigo, and also black. I didn't want it to be just too flat or one-dimensional with the color. I definitely wanted to have kind of like a gradient of some sort. Now let's add some pearl accessories, and I have this micro pearls over here. These are like my favorite. I've used this on Ursula a lot, if you guys remembered. So let's go ahead and string that. I'm using needle and also a white thread to easily do it. And I'm also stringing in these clear beads over here. They look like water, they look like bubbles, in my opinion. And I love them. They're a little bit tinier than the pearls, so they don't really fit my needle. So over here, I'm just using literally the thread straight up. And I'm just gonna glue this directly beside her bra. As you can see, it looks so delicate. I just love how it kind of highlights her décolletage. And I don't know, I just like how it falls off her shoulder. I love the moment. Now let's go back to her tail. I know it's a little bit chaotic with the back and forth, up and down, but that's literally kind of how I made this doll. And I could like just separate them, but there's gonna be a lot of continuity error. More than what we have right now, more than this chaos, so please excuse that. We're now going to be making her fins, and for that one, I will be trying out these Angelica film. And these are often used for mermaid fins and also fairy wings. I'm using a really soft wire in green, obviously so it matches her fins. I sketched out what I want the tail fin and also her fins to look like, and I just copied that with the wire. As you can see over here, this will be the structure, this will be kind of like the posability of the fins. This is how we are able to pose them, and it doesn't really have to be that close. You know, at least for me, there's a lot of trial and error. Let's just say that for this fin. I highly recommend that you guys check out Lady Dynamite Creates and also Maria Lazar for their mermaid videos, cause they made it so effortless looking, and for me it was a whole mess. So I feel like I shouldn't even be showing what I did because it was definitely a mess. But I will include their links down below, specifically to those mermaid videos, so you guys can check them out. So long story short, I am using my silicone heated mat over here, and then I just tape the Angelica film. I sandwich the wire in between those, and technically you should glue the wire onto the film, but I didn't. Over here I have a cloth that is going to be the protector from the iron. You don't want to directly heat the plastic because it will melt. As you can see, mine came out okay. This is actually the best that I had. And for some reason, mine just comes out really wrinkly. This is my 4th attempt, I believe. And yeah, it's always wrinkly. For Maria Lazar and Lady Dynamite, theirs are so smooth. So I definitely, like I said, recommend checking those out. And yes, I also tried my hair straightener, and it's still really wrinkly. Maybe mine was just an incorrect film. I'm not sure. To seal the edges, obviously because I didn't, put glue, I will be using flame, a candle over here, and I'm just holding it on top. We're not really going that close because it can actually burn, which happened to my first tail fin. It was going so well, and then I accidentally burned a hole in the middle of the tail fin. So yeah, be careful when you're holding it up, not to go too close. But this creates beautiful organic shapes and edges to the tail fins, and it just makes it more natural looking. And now I have the side fins and the tail fins completely done, as you can see. And it's actually really nice. I don't mind the wrinkle. I feel like it adds to the organicness of the mermaid. I just want to be able to achieve, at least one time, a really smooth finish. Maybe for a fairy wing or something, but as you can see, you can bend it. It is waterproof, this one is. And I just love how you can, play around with it and pose it and stuff. And now let's just go ahead and glue that into the holes we made. And the glue I used is a 2-part epoxy glue, so pretty industrial, pretty strong. And I wanted to add more scales to her chest area, and as you can see, this one is purple glitter. They are bigger, and I'm using the same exact technique. I wanted to kind of blend in with her skin. I wanted to travel down to her body, and yeah, I just love the effect. For her earrings, I actually made them using these nail charms over here. I glued it together, sandwiched it, and I glued it on pearls, a pearl earring that I made. and it actually fits. I really love the dangly earring type of look, and I love how it's gold. Of course, I fashioned her up some pearl bracelets, and I'm also giving her a gold wire bracelet to match her earrings. Because I gave her Aunt Ursula some pearl ring, she also needs a pearl ring. I gave her some purple manicure as well. This is the same paint that I used for her seashell. This was the base color of that, and I thought it had just made everything come together. And of course, we cannot forget about her best friend Flounder and her guardian Sebastian. I got these from Amazon, I believe. They were a crab pack. And it was kind of cool because there was different crabs in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, the animated Sebastian looks so different than an actual crab. So this one was kind of funny and silly to see because it was pretty realistic in terms of the shape. And yeah, I dry brushed some black here and there just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And for Flounder, I tried to make it realistic to the actual flounder fish, although in the fish pack that I got, none of them look like a flounder. If you guys Google real flounders, they're like not really colorful, and they're like flat. They're not plumped like the animated flounder. But for this one, I merged those two worlds together. It's a flat fish with flounder's color story, so it's pretty interesting looking. And I have a feeling for sure they're gonna be using realistic animals. Even, you know, they're gonna be CGI, but it's gonna be like a real crab. They're probably not going to be speaking either. Can you imagine? Because that's what they do with live actions. I mean, none of Cinderella's rats can speak, if I remember correctly. So we'll just have to see. I have a feeling that they're gonna be realistic looking. But look how cute this is. Oh my god. Now, because she is in the sitting pose, I will be making her a shell, you know? And this is the same exact shell that I used for my Venus doll. I ordered one again from Amazon. This is a bikini cosplay shell, so it is plastic, it's pretty good, and it's pretty lightweight. So I'm just gonna put that together the same way I did for my Venus doll. For some reason, Ariel sitting on a shell, like that whole entire look is just so nostalgic for me. I remember having a coloring book in the Philippines of Little Mermaid, and the cover was Ariel sitting on a shell, a pink shell, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most beautiful thing ever. And obviously, you know, when I colored it at that age, it was not the same beauty. So I'm gonna try and recreate that sort of sense of nostalgia for me, because, you know, they always put Ariel in shells, and in the concert, she was supposed to come out of a shell, and stuff like that. So I actually raised the shell in the back a little bit, maybe like an inch higher, because I wanted to kind of frame Ariel when she's sitting down. So right now I'm just covering those things that I made with clay and also real shells. And don't worry, we'll paint over it again later, so it looks a little bit more cohesive. And of course, she needs to be sitting on something really, really, you know, comfortable. So I'm using clay over here, and I will be taking a mold out of her tail, actually, as you can see. Again, continuity error, she has no scales. But now that is the mold of her tail. After everything is dry, we can now paint over it with pink. So the inside of the shell is going to be this really warm, almost corally pink, and then the outside is going to be this really, really purple, almost lavender color, actually. And I made her seat also lavender. I thought that would really match the entire aesthetic of the shell, and it matches her bra, so why not? And this is where I kind of dry brush the coral aspect. This is technically still pink, however it does look very peachy and more corally looking when it's combined with the baby pink. So I really found that really nice and kind of satisfying and pleasing to the eye. I decided to add a coat of shimmering purple on her seat and also on the outside of her shell. I feel like that really elevates the look of her shell completely, and I don't know, it just looks more realistic that it's underwater. And I'm doing the same thing for the inside of her shell, although right now I'm using Pearlex. This one is white shimmering paint. Of course, the pearl obsession continues. Over here I have a box of different sizes of flathead pearls, which I will be combining with these ones over here, so let's get into it. I really wanted to use these big pearls over here, so I'm actually putting them together. And, you know, obviously they're not seamless, but they work pretty well. So I will be using these ones for her shell. And I'm just gonna go ahead and glue that with some hot glue. And yes, this is the same exact thing I did for my Venus doll, although just a little bit more pearls. And honestly, I'm obsessed with this look. I just love pearls. And now let's go ahead and style Ariel's hair. Finally, as you can see, she is ready for her 80s hairstyle. Literally, I'm trying to copy the animated hair of Ariel, and I feel like this sells it. I really love this hairstyle. Oh my god, the hair tinsel is everything. And I want to give her that flower, so I literally picked out this fake flower from like my vase downstairs. And this one actually has kind of like a hint of pink in it, so I was like, oh my god, that is perfect. I'm just cutting it out to look like the flower that Ariel had in the Under the Sea moment. And I'm just gluing two together. I'm layering that up. And there you have it. I glued it onto a pin so I can just kind of like hang it onto her hair. And now we're finally done to join Ariel under the sea.